Thank you both for being with us today. We have Assistant Superintendent for Business and Operations, Brian Tamamichael, and we have Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Paul Kaiser. And I want to talk to you both about the growth of our school district. You guys are doing a lot to prepare for that growth. Our community is growing, our school district is growing. In fact, we're the fastest growing city in the state. So can you give us some context about where we are right now as a school district?
Yeah, so growth for Westfield is not a new thing. Westfield Washington Schools has grown every year since the year 2000. So as we look at growth across the district more recently, though, the last 2 years we've increased 727 students. To kind of put that in context, that is larger than any of our 6 elementaries currently, student enrollment-wise. So we've had a lot of growth. We're pretty fortunate in Westfield that our growth generally is pretty even across the district. But as you look at multiple years of growth and multiple years since we've really built any new buildings, we're at a point now where it's time for us to continue to change and grow as a district.
Which schools in our district are being impacted the most?
So all the schools in the district are being impacted. As we look at growth across the board, our elementaries, they've all grown across the area. We've had to do some minor rebalancing in the last few years as we've seen growth out on the west side of town. And then as we look at our intermediate and middle school, both of those buildings, even with recent additions, are beginning to again start nearing capacity as we look at that.
So I know you guys have been doing a lot of future planning and getting ready to make some significant improvements to the district. But before we get into that plan, where will the money come from for this plan? Will it impact the tax rate? Will we need a referendum? What will the logistical side look like before we even get into what the plan will look like?
Yeah, so Westfield as a whole, we are very fortunate in some previous planning that took place under Dr. Keene and some of the prior administrations. We built brand new elementary schools almost every 3 years in the early 2000s. So a lot of that debt is falling off at this time. So we have a lot of debt falling off as we move forward through strategic planning and planning with our budget. We're getting ready to go into a period with this growth. We'll be able to perform all of it without a referendum. There will be no capital referendum at all. And as we bring the debt on, our tax rate will stay flat, if not still continue to decrease slightly as well as we move forward.
Dr. Kaiser, can you give us an overview of what the future planning looks like for the school district as far as buildings and capacity and things like that?
Well, we've actually spent the last year and a half I've been here talking to a lot of people, talking to parents, talking to our staff. But most recently, we've met with all 10 buildings. We did a consensus process. We laid out, these are our 2 options. This option, we can build another middle school because, again, we're nearing capacity, and we can build another 5-6 building. So that's kind of option 1. The other option is to 5th grade, instead of going to the intermediate school campus, they would stay in the current 6 elementary schools. We would build a new elementary school to the west at 171st in town where we currently own land. And then 6th grade would slide up and become the middle school. So we would have the K-5 in elementary. We'd have 6, 7, 8 in the middle school. So we'd have 2 middle schools, one the existing, which we'd have to do some refurbishing of that. But we can, have a situation where 6th grade are kind of like their own school within a middle school concept, which is pretty traditional. And there's a lot of schools around us that have that set up. And then, again, 5th grade would come back. Build the 7th elementary school out west, and then the current intermediate school could become our 8th elementary school. So this plan really helps quite a bit with allowing us to meet the adolescent needs of our 5th graders, transition our 6th graders, and really give us some flexibility long-term on our elementary schools. So those are the 2 options we've gone through. The consensus process was very clear. The majority of our educators, both teachers and administrators, they would like to bring our 5th grade back to the elementary. They feel it's age appropriate, and they feel that a 6, 7, 8 building provides less transitions. If I heard less transitions once, I heard it 100 times. They like the idea of those elementary teachers and that really nurturing environment for a longer period of time. We have a lot of work to do, but that's the consensus, and we feel that's the direction we're going to be moving forward. It's going to take a lot of planning over the next 3+ years, but that's the consensus of the educators within our school district, and we think that's sound, and our board is very supportive of letting our educators make that that level of decision.
So if I can recap what you just said, it sounds like the option that was chosen was to a process where we would end up having 8 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and still have only 1 high school, correct? And so you mentioned 5th grade becoming elementary school and 6th grade becoming middle school. Do our current elementary schools have the capacity to hold that if you add an extra grade to them?
They do currently, because right now we're at 5 sections. We'll be able to go down to 4. And we need to, as Brian talked about earlier, we need to go back and revisit all the elementary schools. Most of them are 20 years old or getting near this. So there might be an opportunity where we need to go in and add some, like a community room and things like that. So that's all part of the strategic plan that we've been using architects to look at for the next 10 or 15 years. What is this going to look like? So yeah, from a physical standpoint, they can go back because there'll only be 4 sections. But again, we still need to address the elementary schools, especially Shamrock Springs. But all the elementary schools need an opportunity. Again, we're doing Cary Ridge starting this spring, and we'll address the other 5 elementary schools as we go through this process of Destination Westfield.
So you mentioned Cary Ridge starting this spring. Is that when this plan starts? When does this plan really begin in earnest?
So we do have Cary Ridge Edition beginning this spring for the CrossCap program. Really, as Dr. Kaiser said, a lot of this conversation really started, the base of it, almost a year and a half ago. Since about August this year, we've really been focusing on kind of the master planning with architects and others, looking at our buildings, looking at our infrastructure, and looking at how we continue to grow and where's the best place to do that. Our next kind of steps for the district is we'll be working on selecting architects that we're going to work with as we work through these projects. And then, I think the goal for us is going to be designing a lot this summer and then breaking ground, even as soon as fall of this year or spring of '24. It takes about 18 to 24 months to build a brand new elementary school, and it can take anywhere from 24 to 36 months to build a brand new middle school. As we look long term for us, when we're done with all these projects, our capacity will be close to 12 to 13,000 kids across the district. And as we continue to grow, we feel this is a solution that sets us up for years to come as we continue to grow as a district, and gets us in a proactive state to make sure that we don't feel overcrowded in any of our buildings, and that we have manageable class sizes across the district as well.
School district buildings are way more than just schools, though. What other facilities and other buildings are going to be impacted or come about because of the growth of our community?
Yeah, so actually we are currently in the process of redesigning a brand new transportation center. I think for a lot of people, sometimes it's, we grow and you see that in the building every day, but the transportation and kind of the operational components of that are hard to see. So our transportation facility was really designed for probably about 50 buses, and we're currently at 100. So we've almost doubled in size, and it's also about a 20-year-old facility as we look at it. So we're currently evaluating some of the other properties that we own and looking at where can that site go to make sure that it's not just a short-term solution as we redesign that building, but it's a long-term solution for the district. With that, also our maintenance building, when we both started, Dr. Kaiser and I both started at the district, that is a leased facility. That lease is running out here soon, so we'll have to address the maintenance facility soon. And then as we look across the rest of the district and just opportunities for students as a whole, we know that we are lacking on some athletic fields in areas as well. So we'll be exploring different options to make sure that we maintain the opportunities for all of our students.
So as a community member who is hearing this for the first time or wants to give some feedback about this process, what can they do?
They can call me on my cell phone. It's in the back of the blast. They can reach out to Stacy Pratt, my administrative assistant, and we'll schedule some time starting the first part of February to start reaching out and engaging the community and the Destination Westfield and how this is really going to come to fruition to meet the needs of our kids moving forward.
So to sum up this conversation, we've talked about moving to a community that has 8 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, no intermediate school, and 1 high school. You also talked about improving the transportation facilities and the facilities buildings, all without impacting the tax rate. So it's good to hear that you guys are already in the process of trying to keep things to feel small even as we grow and to become a bigger community. What does the vision for Westfield school district look like 5-10 years into the future once all of these things have become reality?
We want to be the destination site. We want parents coming here because of the great education system. we're here. We've got a lot of great things going on. You know, a lot of people don't know the number of engineering students we're sending to Purdue and Trine, and the number of our students are going to Ball State for the Outstanding Communications program there, or they're going to other universities for all these programs. And we want to continue that strength. We want to, you know, revisit and look at the programs we're doing at the elementary school. How can we get better? And then the middle school, really designing a program. We're going to visit other schools and see what they're doing. Is how can we prepare kids for the first day after graduation so they can move forward with their life. So it's a chance to reflect back, look at what we're doing, and see how we can get better. And that's what's exciting to me. What the future holds, we're going to educate kids, and they're going to leave here with a great education, but more importantly, they're going to leave here ready for the next day of their life, both academically, both, you know, feeling good about themselves. We want the kids to graduate and feel pride in our community and feel pride in themselves. That's the most important thing, and that's our focus, and that's our target. That's part of our core values of what we believe.
I know that the community will appreciate knowing that there's so much planning going on and to be updated on what's going on. So thank you guys both for coming today, and we'll talk to you very soon.